All right. Welcome, everyone. The very first official live stream here at Tradeify Crypto. Super excited about this one. Really, really looking forward to today. We had some technical difficulties. We're starting a few minutes later today. But guys, welcome, everyone. And Boris, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I think the market is actually quite up today to
Yeah,
start Monday. So
pretty
I'm
interesting.
actually quite
Very interesting
surprised.
start.
Yeah.
You know, we had a range EQ rejection on the middle of the range rejection on Bitcoin earlier or over the weekend here, I believe. So we had some pretty nice bullish price action coming into the market right here. So I do think we're going to get a lot of action here today. We're going to go through Bitcoin, obviously take a look at Ethereum and the altcoin market. What I want to do here today is I want to go through every single asset that we have available to trade here at Tradeify Crypto. You're going to see me trade live on the DX Trader platform as well here during the live stream. We're going to talk about Bitcoin, what we're seeing for Bitcoin, you know, the few weeks in the future, months in the future. What are we thinking here in terms of Bitcoin? Is this the long-term bottom, or is this just the beginning of something bigger? Very excited about today's session. And guys, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe to the channel, because in about 10 to 15 minutes, I will make it so that the live chat is only available for subscribers of the channel. And yes, we are going to do giveaways in this live stream today, and the giveaways will be selected throughout in the comments. So the people that are engaging in the comment section, asking good questions and things like that, are going to be selected to be randomly selected for a giveaway here throughout the live stream. So make sure that you do hit that like and subscribe. And if you do have any questions here to us, the team here at Tradeify Crypto, feel free to ask them in the comments. I think we let's just go straight to the charts here and see what we have for today. So as we can see here, we got Bitcoin in a sideways trending market right here, but we do have a reclaim of what we call the range EQ, or the range equilibrium. What's the range equilibrium? That's just a fancy word of the middle of the range. So Bitcoin has reclaimed the middle of the range. What are we thinking here, Boris? Are we thinking that we're going to get prices just shooting straight up to the highs of this range, like 72, 73? Or what are you thinking, Boris? What's your projection here for, let's say, for the next few hours?
Yeah. So I kind of agree with you that we're pretty much still range bound, even though Bitcoin is up about 1% today. And we did hit slightly over 70,000 a few hours ago. But right now, with my system, I like to use EMAs. And right now we're just testing the 55 EMA. So this red ribbon on my chart, this is the 55 EMA. We did try to get briefly above it back on the 16th of March. And right now we are trying to retest it. So for me, this is just no trade zone. Unless we can get a closure above the 55 EMA, which stands at around 70,900. So for me, like the key level to break would be $71,000. As of now, I would do nothing on Bitcoin as a swing trader. Yeah, those are my thoughts on Bitcoin itself. Just pretty much range around, choppy, and kind of boring. Kind of like I like to call it chop solidation.
We get a poll in the chat, guys. So go to the poll, and the question is: what's your views on Bitcoin for today? Are you bullish or bearish? Let's go in the comment section and answer that poll. And of course, while you do so, hit that like as well. I'm soon going to activate the comment section for only the subscribers. So make sure you are already subscribed to the channel before I do that, so you are eligible for giveaways. Yeah, Boris, I tend to agree with you here. I think it's you know, us two, we're both swing traders, right? So from my point of view here, when I'm thinking of Bitcoin, is just this is a good time for me to perhaps look at opportunities on altcoins where, you know, if we're if we're bearish on Bitcoin, which I am, at least for the next few months, right? I don't, and even if we do break above that 72, 73K region, I still think we have very obvious resistance above, which I still think would be in line with that primary bearish trend. But we can be, bearish on Bitcoin at these levels, and still try to see if we can ride the momentum that might be picking up if we get, like, let's say, a break of this trend line, or break of this overall downwards trending structure. You can kind of see how we had a trend line break here and a potential break of structure. That trend line broke. I'm not really a big fan of trend lines, but it's a good way of visually seeing a structure breaking. And then we had a break above that resistance. So what I'm viewing here is we have, I'm not going to say gap, it's not a gap, but it's kind of like a vacuum in price action, where there's not a lot of action between range high and range equilibrium. And this is a moment that I'd like to look at as a potential altcoin window, right? When Bitcoin shows strength within a range bound environment, that's kind of like where Bitcoin gives altcoins a possibility to rally, because we know that obviously Bitcoin and altcoins are extremely correlated. So when Bitcoin starts moving, we're going to have altcoins that are moving in the same direction, but just with more momentum and more volatility. And that's kind of like what I'm thinking here throughout the session today. So if we go into the even lower time frames, so say on the 15-minute, what we have here is a beautiful level right here, which is also an untested level, right? We can go even lower to the 5 minutes, very good level right here. And we're coming down to test that level for the first time now since breaking it to the upside. Now, I want to be looking at this and I want to say, okay, so if Bitcoin is going to bounce here, I think it kind of looks like we have a 0.618 here as well. Yeah, look at that. If we add the fibs, perfect, right? We got the 0.618 of the Fibonacci retracement tool right here. If we can get a bullish reaction within this area, I'd like to go and look at the altcoins, right? I want to see, okay, what altcoins do we have that is showing the same structure, but it's just that it gets amplified in the altcoin market. So we can look at something like, I believe this is Zcash, not really giving us that type of structure. It's at that resistance, but I'm sure we can find some altcoins here that are, ready to make that move. And that's what I'm looking at for. But
yeah, actually, I kind of agree with you. I'm actually looking at US. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm looking at USDT dominance. So for the viewers who aren't familiar, basically USDT dominance measures the dominance of stable coins or the dominance of USDT in the market. So right now we are having a down day, and USDT dominance is down about almost 1%. So that does mean that all coins should appreciate here. And what I'm looking at here is, it's kind of hard to apply EMAs to USDT dominance chart, but I think it does work in practice. I think if we break like this 7.71% level, then we could see a potential rally in some altcoins. So it is a bullish sign for altcoins that USDT dominance is down, because that means more capital is flowing out of stable coins and hopefully going into some of our favorite altcoins. So yeah, and then looking at the heat map as well, we are well in the green today. Over the past 24 hours, Bitcoin's up 3%, Ethereum's up 5%, XRP up 4%, Solana up 3%. So pretty good gains across the board for even Bitcoin itself. Looking like a bullish start to the pre-market at least, but we'll see what happens once the New York Stock Exchange opens.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see probably see more volatility coming in on the US Open. See if we can get continuation to the upside. I am actually into shorts on 2 altcoins. So we got XLM here, one short that I'm in. So obviously this is a swing trade. I haven't moved my stop loss or anything on this. I'm kind of waiting for price to confirm that it wants to use this as resistance. So it wants to use that range EQ as resistance, because right now I see like you get that type of looks like some type of doji-ish bullish pin bar or a hammer type of candle, which could be a sign that we do have some buyers stepping in here and maybe pushing price higher. So I want to see if this current daily candle, if it's going to close maybe below these wicks. I see that as somewhere on this level. I see that as confirmation that this is resistance, and in that case I can move my stops to the entry and just let this trade do its thing, because I do see that here on XLM there's definitely some weakness, relative weakness compared to Bitcoin, because we have Bitcoin now trading somewhere above here, above that range EQ. So if and also if Bitcoin can kind of have that low time frame break and retest we talked about, maybe the altcoins are going to start moving higher as well. And in that case, I want to start looking at protecting this position. We also have TRX. That's another short I'm in, and this is based on the fact that I'm waiting for Bitcoin to trade lower. Like I think that 60K support is not going to hold for long, right? I think it's not going to hold for long. We might have that test of the range highs. We might have another fake out, but eventually I think we're going to have more selling pressure to test that lower bound of the range again. And if that happens, I do think we're going to see something like TRX or other altcoins move lower. So this is just a simple trade where I'm shorting resistance in a bearish environment.
That's funny. I'm actually doing the opposite. I'm actually long on TRX, but on the weekly time frame. And for me, this was if you zoom in on my chart, I went long on TRX last week. And this is based on a break of this previous swing high at around was like 0.31815. So I'm still in the trade. This is on the weekly time frame. I think TRX has been one of the stronger altcoins pretty much like since 2023. Like it's just been an uptrend. So I'm very bullish on TRX. And this is like one of the few altcoins that I'm currently long on. It hasn't really moved in the past week. Had a small wick down to test support. But right now I am long on TRX. It's been holding the 55 EMA on the weekly. And I think if, as you said, if Bitcoin can break above 70K, I think TRX can actually push higher back towards the highs it saw in August at around like 36 cents, maybe even go as high as 40 cents. So I think it's interesting. We both have the same trades on, but in different directions.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, from the higher time frame, I looked at this TRX when I was going to short this, and obviously the trend. I mean, this is insane. I'm trying to figure out like what type of. So first of all, we're looking at an altcoin project here, an altcoin project that has basically been in an uptrend. If we view this as sort of like a down leg within the broader uptrend, this has been in an uptrend since like 2020, like basically all the way back here. And when it broke out of this, what is like descending triangle type of structure, it has been in a strong uptrend for the last 3 years. So obviously trading with the trend, this going long down here, I think would be a beautiful trade. Now I'm also looking at a long setup if this short is going to fail for TRX, because what I see, and I think you saw maybe something similar, or I think we would probably share the view that this type of W structure or a double bottom structure on the weekly in an uptrend, especially if you get a break above this resistance right here, obviously gives us quite an interesting long setup. So if my short fails here, I see a quite obvious, gap between this resistance and the resistance above around 0.36, which would be the close to the all-time highs here on TRX. So I think I need to look into Tron more to understand what are the fundamentals that is driving price higher here, because I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah. I think it's because the Tron network is used for a lot of crypto transactions pretty much across the world. I mean, for myself as a crypto user, I use the TRC blockchain quite a lot. So I think that is, even though I don't really look at fundamentals that much, I do know that the Tron blockchain is one of the most widely used, layer one solutions in crypto. I think like Solana and TRX are like neck to neck, or like right close to each other in terms of transactions. And I know TRC20 is used like across the world, especially in like third world developing countries. And my theory is that, I don't know if this is accurate, but because of the regional conflict that's going on, perhaps a lot of users or like crypto people in Iran are perhaps using the Tron network to do crypto transactions, because obviously they don't have access to banking services.
That's
interesting.
interesting.
And their currency has completely collapsed.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I'm definitely going to look up. So I'm guessing on the blockchain we should be able to look up active addresses, right? Active addresses and kind of network activity for Tron. It's definitely showing great relative strength here compared to the rest of the market. One altcoin that I am looking to go long is Hype. As you can see here, I had one long which got stopped out here. And if we look at the replay tool here in TradingView, we can see that the reason I went long was because of the bullish engulfing candle, or simply as this bullish candle on the daily. And I thought, okay, we got a potential re-entry into the previous range. Maybe we're going to be ranging here for a while again. Now, obviously, came down, stopped me out on that one. But what we have right now is a pretty interesting structure where we came down, we hit the daily 50 EMA. I think I would be much more comfortable going along here if we had a wick down here, but I still think this is interesting. And if I add the fibs here, we have again that move into that 0.618. So that's something I like to use a lot in my trading when I'm looking to go long in a pullback. I'd like that pullback to come down into what I call the reload zone, which is this area between the 0.618 and the 0.786. And the reason I call it the reload zone is because that's when you have a retrace in a move, I view this area as the last support, or the last area where you can put in a higher swing low before breaking structure. Because if you create a low down here, I could easily view that as a double bottom and a potential break of structure. And Hype is also one project that I'm quite bullish on long term. So this would be, I would like to see it come down and kind of form a rounded bottom down here to enter a swing trade, and also potentially add to spot holdings, because I do believe that this has good fundamentals for the future. Boris,
are you bullish on Hype, like long term, like on the weekly to monthly timeframes?
I haven't. So what I'm looking at, so I'm not sure, where do we have, do you know where we can find like long-term history on this? If it goes, because maybe you have a,
let's see.
Maybe you
I
have
usually default to Coinbase. It's
Let me take a
Coinbase is
look
not
because
good.
okay, we got KuCoin here. So
I can, but that's gonna disconnect my external monitor.
right, so we have
So
some technical difficulties here with so Boris, you're on the laptop, I believe, and you have a external monitor as well. So
yeah,
and you don't have
but
the
I can,
power.
and my camera. See, I have limited like Type C USB ports, so there's
Yeah.
a solution to this. I can just buy another adapter.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll get that figured out. That's the stuff that happens when you're live trading. But I guess that power cable is kind of like a stop loss, isn't it?
I can plug it in. It's just I can switch to my tab view.
So I'm looking at hype here on the high time frames. We got I believe
Yeah.
KuCoin has it from listing date in all the way back in December of 2024, and I'd say on a weekly perspective, I mean on a monthly perspective, there's just not a lot of, it's just too little data, not a lot of historic data to actually be able to make any, at least in my view, any good technical analysis on this. On the weekly, we do have some more, and I'd say it looks pretty good. I mean, if we're looking at this as resistance, we would want to get above that level, obviously, to really be significantly bullish. And I view this as we had that previous range right here.
Yeah, I just think hype has been, relative to other altcoins, it's been trending upwards in the past few weeks. And obviously, Hyperliquid is one of the most popular decentralized exchanges out there. So I know quite a few traders that I've spoken to are quite bullish on hype. So I was just curious about your perspective.
When you're looking at hype from a like fundamental perspective, it's a project that has, I believe it's a team of 11 people, and they, I believe in Q4 of last year, the exchange had more trading volume than Coinbase. Now, Coinbase is a publicly listed company with thousands of employees. So a team of 11 people outperformed Coinbase. And I believe they outperformed Coinbase in terms of revenue as well, which is just insane. And the cool thing about Hyperliquid is, obviously you can trade. They just listed the S&P 500 futures, and for 24/7 trading, you can trade gold, oil, S&P 500, tokenized assets on there, and it's officially licensed by. I can't believe it's a DAO. I can't believe I can't remember the company behind the S&P 500, but it's officially licensed, right? So it's pretty cool. So it seems like they have a good future ahead of them. But still, from a technical perspective, I would want this to securely get reclaimed. We have price targets of, Arthur Hayes, for example. He's talking about how he sees hype reaching $100 in this year. So I mean that would be up here, and I think
he could be one of the investors in Hyperliquid and might be just trying to pump up the price or something.
Yeah, it would make sense to have him as an investor. Yeah. But and this is the log scale as well. So if we remove the log scale and I add, let's say the fibs here, I mean, there are some interesting technical confluence between the fact that, we had a move back down into this region, kind of started trending upwards. And then, between 90 and 100 is right between that, extension fib of the minus 0.618. So long term, this looks good. But again, when you have a weekly chart with this little price information, I mean, this was listed in December 2024. So it's a little bit difficult to get a sense of market structure when there's just not a lot of candles to base the analysis of.
Yeah.
So before we move on here, I want to explain quickly how we're going to do the giveaway. So I'm going to be selecting people from the chat based on engagement and activity, and also some giveaways are going to be completely random. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to be I want you guys to, you need to have an account at Tradeify Crypto before you can get your evaluation giveaway. So you need to go to Tradeify Crypto and sign up for an account. You have the link in the description. And then when you're signed up to the Tradeify Crypto backend, the dashboard, when you win an account, I want you to take the email that you used to sign up and add it to your bio in your your YouTube profile. So if I go to your YouTube profile, if you're a winner, you have to have the Tradeify email in your YouTube for you to actually get an account. Okay, so that's how we're going to do this. Boris, I would love to, because I'm sure people are wondering a little bit about our trading styles. I mean, who are we as traders and all of that. So maybe you can kind of walk us through an example of a trade, or just walk us through how you would be analyzing the markets, what tools are you using, and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll classify myself as a systematic trend following trader. So I do like to use a lot of indicators. Well, not a lot. Like I like to use like 3 to 4 indicators on my chart, and from there I make my trading decisions. So I'll actually go into one trade that I'm currently in, and this is Altcoin. So this is like the Telegram coin, and I'm currently on a long on it based upon it. So there's multiple variables to me going into this setup. So first of all, I guess I should explain my setup and what you guys are seeing on my screen. So essentially this green red ribbon, this is 55, or no, it's a 21 exponential moving average. So to keep things simple, I like to use just one EMA, but sometimes I use multiples for like EMA crossovers and golden crosses and silver crosses and things like that.
Roman, you need to switch to his screen, please.
And then another tool that.
Okay, so guys, we have some technical difficulties here in the background. What a wonderful. I love live stream, because anything can really happen. It's like with trading, you never know when that stop loss is going to hit, and it's the same thing with live streaming equipment. You never really know what is going to happen. But I'm happy that we were able to figure that out before you went through the whole process of explaining what you have on the screen. So we got a producer in the back end, our lovely.
Yeah, can you see my screen now?
So if you can, then we'll know, because he's just going to switch over to your screen. But before we wait on that, let me walk through a little bit about my trading then, because we have my screen, I believe. So, and then of course when we have Boris your screen available, we can switch over to that one. It's weird though, because I'm seeing your screen, so obviously it's something is working.
Yeah, it's saying it's sharing my window, so I'm not sure what the issue is.
So, yeah, it should be available. I can see it. It must be some difficulties with the streaming platform that we're using here today. But this is why we're going to be improving this as we go. You know what? Because of the technical difficulties, let's just give away one extra account. Okay, so one extra account today because of this. And now you're probably sitting there like, hope to have technical difficulties every day. But yeah, I hope not, because then my boss is going to call me up and say, hey, you can't give away all of these accounts. Okay, so let me explain a little bit about my training style. I can show you type of trade that I would be taking. I can actually show you an open trade that I have on Bitcoin, which is not really a great representation of the way I'm trading, but it's at least one trade where I can explain the underlying, like the underlying methods for my trading. So I'm predominantly a swing trader. I would say that I'm about 75 to 90% technical analysis. I've been doing this for 10 years now. I've been trading using technical analysis all of that time, and I'm constantly learning new things and improving my skills in TA. That last 10% of fundamental analysis is, I see it more as almost like a hobby. If technical analysis is my profession, then fundamental analysis is more of a hobby. I want to understand the why as well as the when and how. So the way I view technical analysis is it studies the effect, and fundamental analysis studies the cause. So you have cause and effect, where fundamental analysis says this is the cause of a move, and technicals then say, okay, let's study the effect of that cause. And I believe to become a great trader and investor, to be able to be long-term profitable for not just the next 1 or 2 years, but the next 10 years, I do believe that you want to incorporate a type of fusion analysis, where you're not just looking at price chart, but you're also trying to understand in what environment are you seeing the price moves, right? So, for example, it could be something simple as, are we in a high interest rate environment or a low interest rate environment? Is the central banks raising or lowering rates? And on that bombshell, it looks like we have your screen. Now we have my screen. Well, it works at least. Now we get your screen again. So let me just finish up on like that philosophy behind my trading, and then we're quickly going to go into your technicals. So what I do is I look at the primary trends. I have one question that I'd like to ask myself before I analyze the market or want to get into a market. I ask myself, what is the primary trend? The way I find the primary trend is obviously to ask myself, what is on the daily, the weekly, maybe even the monthly, are we in a regime of higher highs and higher lows, or lower highs and lower lows? And then that is going to be the primary trend. And I then want to make sure that everything I do is in line with that primary trend. And I trade on the daily, right? So you can see, for example, here on Bitcoin, we have, let me add this right here. So this is on the weekly for Bitcoin. And what I have here is two different ranges, one called distribution and one called accumulation. And then the red line is a downtrend, pretty simple, right? The green one is an uptrend because we have higher highs and higher lows. That's an uptrend. We enter distribution range, we break down, we form lower highs and lower lows on the weekly. This is where I know that, okay, I now want to be looking for shorts on Bitcoin because the primary trend is now to the downside. The idea of primary trends comes from the Dow theory, from Charles Dow, all the way back in, I believe, 100 years ago now. He formed the basics of what today is the Dow theory, which is one of the first explanation of why or how the markets are trending. And it's just a beautifully simple way of looking at the market structure. And according to him, there are three different types of trends. We have the primary, the secondary, and the intraday fluctuations, or the intraday noise, as he called it. I'm a type of trader that are looking for the primary trend, which is this one right here. And then within the primary trend, of course, we have secondary trends, which is this move, for example, that can move against the primary trend. And I'm always trying to ride the waves of the primary trend. So what would that look like on Bitcoin? Simply what I do is I add horizontal support and resistance on the chart. And then if price hits resistance in a downtrend, I go short. Very simple. Very simple. If we add the levels here, we can see that we are currently in a range-bound environment on Bitcoin, which to me is not really something I want to be trading. What I'm looking for and my next big trade on Bitcoin will most likely be a short around the 80 to 85K region, because this is where I believe we might get another lower high on the bigger picture for Bitcoin. And then there are a few things I add to my analysis. I add indicators like the RSI, for example, because I want to look at the bearish or bullish divergences as early warning of a potential breakdown. I add indicators like the accumulation distribution indicator, which is a way of looking at volume. You can see, for example, when we had a breakout here, we had an uptrend in price. We had a breakout here, but we did not create any new highs on the accumulation distribution indicator, which tells us that volume is not supporting this move. So if I see something like this up here, I see that the volume-based indicators are not confirming the move, and maybe we get a bearish, a bearish divergence on RSI up here, where you have lower highs on the RSI while creating a higher high on price, then we have confirmation from volume and momentum that we might have an entry here. And then, of course, if you add the actual volume here as well, you can see that on this move to the upside, we had declining volume. So volume is not confirming the move, which tells me that I want to fade this move. But the general principle is super simple. What is the primary trend? Is it bearish? Then if you get a price hitting resistance with confirmation from a candlestick pattern like a graveyard doji or a bearish engulfing candle or whatever with RSI or any type of momentum indicator giving you a bearish reversal or bearish divergence, and then volume-based indicator or volume not confirming price, then that's where I enter a short position. And there's not going to be a lot of those trades, obviously on Bitcoin, because if you look at the weekly, historically, there's not a lot of higher highs and higher lows in a bullish or bearish regime for Bitcoin. We had, really only, I would say, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 good entry areas for Bitcoin trading this way in the last bull run. But really what I'm doing is with Bitcoin, I want to make sure that I go in heavy during accumulation and try to ride that trend all the way up into distribution. But along the way, we can take, swing trades. So, for example, I remember exiting Bitcoin around this level, and then I'm going to look for short here, and then short here. And then when we get into this region, I'm looking to then start accumulating Bitcoin spot. And then if we break out, the primary trend shifts bullish. So now I'm looking to go long on the higher lows as a swing trader in that primary trend to the upside. And what's interesting about this is, while we trade this way on Bitcoin, we have the opportunities to then trade the secondary trends on altcoins, because that's where we get a lot of these altcoin windows opening. So crypto is very exciting in this way, where you can have within the crypto ecosystem, you can have a quite diversified way of trading if you understand these dynamics. All right, that's just a quick overview of the way I'm trading. Would love to see Boris break down some of his trading.
Yeah, of course. Before I go into my trading strategy, I'm curious. He said when Bitcoin would get to 80 or 85K, you would like to place a short there. So would you actually wait until price gets there, or would you set conditional sell orders in case Bitcoin just shoots up there overnight? or do you actually wait and see it in front of your screen before entering, a short in your region? Like how would you go about this trade if it happens? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I always wait for confirmation, right? So I'm the type of trader that I based on I trade based on the daily close. So the current daily candle doesn't really matter to me, right? I only really care about the close of the daily candle. So let's say, for example, we break out here. We get one bullish candle, another bullish candle. Now we're in the zone of interest for me. Like this is where I want to short. But I would only really short if I get confirmation that, okay, this is a bullish candle, then maybe we have, a doji type of candle, and then the next candle is bearish and it kind of breaks below that doji candle. This is terrible drawing, but like this rounded top, that would be my confirmation. And then one of the reasons why I'm waiting for confirmation is I need confirmation and I need a structure to base my invalidation level on. So if we have a rounded type of top pattern here, then this will become my invalidation for a short, and I'm then gonna place market orders after the fact that I have confirmation. So I risk some. I have a lower risk to reward, but because of the confirmation, I'm getting a slightly higher win rate. Because otherwise, if you don't get the confirmation, you're going to have a couple of trades maybe stopping out before you get confirmation. And that works as well. It's just for me, it's just a matter of like I can't really trade a system with a low win rate because I get too emotionally affected by longer losing streaks. So I would rather sacrifice some profits to have peace of mind.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So if Bitcoin were to reach 85K, you're gonna wait for like a down candle or a reversal on the daily before entering the short. Am I understanding correctly?
I try not to. So I try not to make a plan for entry too much before we actually get there, because when we get into the 80 to 85K region, there's more things that kind of goes into my decision than just this. I want to look at the global markets as well, right? I want to look at the S&P 500. I want to look at NASDAQ. Like, what if the S&P 500 reclaims range GQ? What if NASDAQ just shoots up and starts reclaiming levels we haven't seen in a long time, and we're getting the Fed comes out and says, oh, we're going to be cutting like crazy now this year, and you start thinking, okay, maybe this can prolong the business cycle. Then I have to think, okay, is this the right time to short Bitcoin? Maybe we see signs of increasing liquidity, and we all know Bitcoin is super sensitive to liquidity. So if we see that the liquidity environment is improving, then I would probably say, okay, I'm most likely not going to get the confirmation that I'm looking for, right? So the 10% macro is going to play a role here in my decisions. But what I'm looking for is basically, okay, where's the area of interest and what options do I have? And then I go through these options and I look at the global markets and I try to make sense of, okay, is everything coming together to short Bitcoin, or am I trading against the overall market here?
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let me go into my system because probably have a lot going on my screen right now. But like I was saying, I'm currently in a long on Altcoin on the 12-hour time frame. And essentially what I use in my system, so I use an EMA. In this case, this is the 21 EMA. So this is represented by this red-green ribbon. So essentially, like I guess my initiation trigger is for price to cross above the 21 EMA. Now some people like to use like a more smoothed out moving average, like the 55. In this case, I'm using the 21. But that's not the only condition for entering a trade, because then everyone would be making millions of dollars just based on Bitcoin crossing the 21 or the 55 EMA. I also have other indicators here. So this is the WADA ATAR explosion indicator, and it basically represents volatility in the market. So when you see a rising explosion level and these green bars above what's called the dead zone, that means volatility is increasing in this particular asset. And actually, this is a public indicator, and it's actually widely used in Forex, and actually found it quite useful in crypto as well. And I know some traders that use it in equities too. So this one particular indicator is one tool in my arsenal. Then I also have a momentum indicator. This is the QQE mod. Again, it's a public indicator. And basically when this white line crosses the 0 threshold and it starts to print blue bars, that means momentum is on the increase. And then finally, I have a confirmation indicator. In this case, I'm using the TSI, or the True Strength Index. So basically, if the True Strength Index is bullish, it's green. The WADA ATAR explosion is in the green above the dead zone, and the QQE mod is above the 0 line, and momentum is increasing. Those are 3 out of 3 green lights. And then price is above the 21 EMA, and it's just above it. It's not like way above it. So this is a good entry zone. And then lastly, I do have like a horizontal line here. So there's like multiple like confluences here, which I like. And yeah, for this reason, I entered this trade back on Saturday evening based on a 12-hour closure above this $1.25 level. So that's my entry. And then for my take profits and stop loss, I use an ATR based indicator. So I'll turn it on right now and let's flip this to long. So essentially what I use is a 1.5x ATR stop, which is automatically plotted. And then my take profits are based on the average shoe range. So I'll have TP1 at ATR1 at 1.28. And then take profit 2 is going to be at the second ATR, so at 1.3. And then take profit 3 would be 1.32. So essentially that comes out to 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio if it hits all TPs. And I like to have my stop loss at 1.5x ATR, because essentially ATR represents the average shoe range. So you want to be just outside that one ATR window. So I find that 1.5x is sufficient enough, especially for larger cap altcoins like Toncoin. So that's my system in a nutshell.
Nice.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty simple. Like,
and you're looking at it on the 12
I mean, it's not simple.
only?
It's kind of. I know I use the daily as well. It's just right now I'm traveling, or I'm living a bit in Asia because it's still the cold season in New York. But I find that 12-hour actually like very accurate and very useful as well. So for me, like the 12-hour, it's like half of the daily time frame, and I find that my system actually works very well on the 12-hour time frame as well. But anything below that, like I would usually just switch to a different kind of system. But for me, I like the 12-hour a lot for crypto, and the daily is my bread and butter, just like you. And I also like the 2-day, 3-day, and weekly timeframes. Like this kind of system works very well from the 12-hour, and then from the daily to the weekly, especially.
This indicator that you have, or these indicators, are they public or personal, or is it available for everyone?
Yes, I'm also the ones that you see on my screen. These are all available, and I can maybe later like list it in the comments so people can plot them on their own trading views. But essentially, WADA ATAR explosion. You can just look that up in the public library. Let me just show it to the viewers. You just type in WADA ATAR, and there's multiple variations. There's one that I use particularly by this offer called Cracking Cryptocurrency because he adjusted it just for the crypto market. And then the QQE mod, again, that's another public indicator. And you guys can just, go into your indicator library and just type it in. And it's QQE mod. Yeah, QQE mod by Mikkel is 00. And finally, TSI is another free, I think it's a built-in indicator on TradingView. So yeah, most of these are free. And then this is a baseline indicator. It's essentially just an EMA, so you can also go ahead and just like change this, like let's say a 13 EMA or 55 or whatever have you. You can also use like a simple moving average or a volume weighted moving average, and you can just play around with all kinds of moving average and see what fits your trading style the best. For me, I like EMAs. I'm just like a EMA nerd. But I know some people just hate EMAs and they don't even look at them. But it works for me, so that's what counts.
Yeah, I mean it's all about, it's all about how you use the indicators. I mean, all indicators are there for a reason. I mean, there's a lot of people saying that you shouldn't be adding all of these indicators. Indicators are useless, all of that. But I mean, obviously, if you don't know how to use the indicators, then they're useless. But the thing with indicators are, it's, it does give you a lot of information. And there's one thing that I think people misunderstand when it comes to indicators, and that is specifically or especially the indicators that are based on volume, because volume, you can't see volume in price action. So all the pure price action traders out there, which I completely respect, and I do tend to gravitate more towards only price action, but you can't see volume in price. You can only see volume by actually looking at volume. So the volume based indicators are unique in that sense, that it's not derived from price. Some of them are, but it's based on volume. But that's why I love using an indicator like accumulation distribution indicator, because it takes volume and the size of the candles into consideration. I'm actually looking at the DXTrader platform here that we have at the Tradeify Crypto. I'm looking at Bitcoin right now, and I'm actually, if you can switch over to my screen, I'm actually looking at potentially a trade here. I think this break and retest on Bitcoin just looks very, very good. And speaking of EMAs, I mean, we're not going to get an EMA here on the 5 minute, or maybe we are. No, let's go in and take a look at that one. Which one should we use? Let's use 20. But if we go to maybe the 15 minute, not even on the 15 minute, probably 50. Well, this is stupid. I'm just looking for EMAs that fit my trade idea. You know what? It's like trend lines. If you can't find a good trend line, just add another one.
Yeah, if you can't find a good EMA, just try the 55, try the 89, try the 100.
Yeah, you have millions of different EMAs to choose from. So just try whatever. one will fit. But I know
some traders use some traders use like the 34 EMA and 144 EMA and like just random numbers.
I've seen some people, they're like, oh well, I back tested this, I used the 14 EMA with the whatever, right? And then I'm like, well, that kind of sounds like curve fitting, isn't it? Like you're just going through price action and then you're trying to find the EMA that fits with past price action. A lot of people think that back testing is about finding something that works on past data, but it's actually not. It's using past data to find something that works on future data, and that's difficult, right? And a lot of times, the simpler your system is, the bigger the probability is that it's going to not be curve fitted. Anyway, guys, if you're watching this and you're not signed up to Tradeify Crypto yet, you should do so right away. And also make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because I am very soon going to activate these subscribers only for the chat, which means that you're no longer going to be able to comment in the chat if you're not subscribed, which means also you're not going to be able to win an account. And I'm going to give away the first account very soon. Now, what I like about the TradingView integration here that we have with within our platform is you can literally just put your long tool on here. Let's say, okay, I want to enter here. I want my stop to be, let's say, down here, and my profit target somewhere around that level. And you can use then right-click the long tool and press create limit order. And then you can just put in whatever you want to risk, like 0.25% of your account. If that's what you want to risk, then that's what you are going to risk on this trade. And that's exactly what I'm going to risk on this one. So I'm going to click buy. And there we have it. That's the orders in. Beautiful. It doesn't get more simple than that. So let's see if we can monitor this trade for this session. I really like that we came down into and hit that 0.618. I can't believe that this is the default setting of the fib tool. I mean, it looks just terrible. How can I get rid of the background? Okay, well, at least that's a little bit better. Let's use that for now. We got the 0.618 right here. And now if we also had some breaking news coming out that there are Axios just reported that senior White House official says that there is a plan for a 45-day ceasefire between the US and Iran. But then it also says that Trump has not approved this yet, and that the Operation Epic Fury, as it's called, is very much ongoing. But if we do
have you been like following? Has the news affected your trading at all in the past month? Like, how much of an impact do you like take these headlines? Like for example, this headline that you just read. Like, how do you incorporate this into your strategy or into your thinking, or maybe into the amount of risk you're gonna allocate to your decision making this week?
You know, not really. You know, it's, I mean, like I said, I'm mostly technical analysis. So whatever price is doing is whatever's happening, right? Because I do believe that price discounts everything, and whatever we see in price is, you know, price never lies. It's kind of like the market is a beautiful discounting machine. Trump can do and say and tweet whatever he wants, and we can get all of these different geopolitical situations all over the place. But the market is quite good at pricing that in, you know? So if, for example, we see that right now we have the news that there is potentially talks of a 45-day ceasefire. Well, if the S&P 500, if we don't see any bullish volume coming in, if we don't see any momentum to the upside, then that means that the market is calling the bluff, right? But then if Trump comes out and says, okay, it's confirmed, we're going to have a 45-day ceasefire, then obviously that's going to affect price. Now, I'm not trading based on that, but I'm trying to, if that makes sense. I'm trying to figure out how can I incorporate that in my trading. But I think from my perspective, what I want to do is more understand the big picture. Like, where are we in, for example, where are we in something like the business cycle? What is the central bank and government policy? Geopolitical situations like this one, it's very difficult to trade, right? But let me throw that question over to you. Have you been trading on this or made any decisions based on it?
I mean, I don't make decisions based on Trump tweets, but I do notice that based on, you know, whatever technical reason I had to enter a trade, and then let's say, you know, Trump tweets something or some major headline comes out, it does affect the market. I think it's very much visible, like in the charts, that, you know, you have a clear uptrend and then suddenly you have a big red candle because, you know, Trump decided to bomb the oil fields in Iran. So I think it is, you know, affecting the markets in some way. I don't think, you know, markets are able to fully price in what's happening with the conflict, because there's so much misinformation and so much, I guess, propaganda coming from both sides that it's not fully priced in, maybe somewhat priced in, but not completely.
Well, speaking of Trump, look who's here. We got Anastasia. Welcome.
Hey,
how's it going?
hey, how are you all doing?
I'm good. I'm great.
Doing
How are you?
great.
Good,
Well,
good. So we are We are on the most hot topic right now, as I've heard you speaking. Will there be a ceasefire or there will be not a ceasefire? Is it another manipulation of Trump or is it real this time?
Well, I don't think anyone really knows what's real at this point. It's maybe it's one of those taco trades. We'll see what happens here, but there's a lot of things going on. Yeah, crazy. Anyway, Anastasia, how have you been? And welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm doing good. Who's buying Bitcoin? Whose chart is it? Jonathan, is it yours? It's yours?
Yeah, of course. I promised Alex not to trade the lower time frames though, and here I am on the 5 minute.
I've heard this somewhere already.
Yeah. I'm not supposed to be on the lower time frames. If there were a Scalpers Anonymous, I would definitely be there, So but it's so good. It's like the adrenaline. It's like the lower time frames. It's like swing trading, but you lose money even faster, right? But there's adrenaline and it feels really good before stop loss gets hit, and that's why I do it.
I guess at least you can say that you hit the stop loss fast, and then you can move on fast as well.
Yeah, well, I wish I could say that I can move on.
Exactly.
Right, let's do the first giveaway. The first winner. Okay, what I'm gonna do is check this out. This is my bowl of consciousness. Whenever I'm in too deep, whenever I'm in too deep in the market, like now, all I do is this. Isn't that just the most wonderful sound you've ever heard in your life? Let's do it again.
Very calming.
Oh my god, so good. It doesn't help though, but it's really nice to listen to. So what I'm going to do is...
I was just about to say, Jonathan, whatever helps you to become a better trader, we don't judge. We listen and we do not judge.
Okay, I'm going to take two names. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take two names. I'm going to write it on a piece of paper. I'm going to put it in the bowl, and I'm going to pick one. And you're going to be the winner of what is it? What are we going to be winning today? We're going to be winning... you're going to be winning. I'm not going to be winning anything. Let's do 10K. Let's do a 10K two-step. So, Alex, I asked Alex, like, how many accounts can I give away? And he said 1. And I said 5K or 10K, and he said 5K. So we're going to give away multiple 10Ks. Let's do it. All right. The first name that I'm going to write in is Glenn. Okay, Glenn. Is it Glenn Dallimore? I'm so bad with names. So bad with names. I'm just gonna write Glenn because it's actually like a Swedish name as well. Okay, first one is Glenn. The next one is... I can't pronounce that name, so I'm not even gonna try. Say the number 2. The number 2. The one who's ranked number 2 in the chat. You know, write your name. Okay, while I do this, maybe someone else can share a screen and talk about something because it's getting a little bit awkward here.
Yeah, I want to talk about the liquidation heat map right now on Bitcoin. Because I think what we just experienced was just a sweep of short liquidity. So
maybe you can explain what we're looking at there, because I do believe that it's quite interesting, and there's probably a lot of people in the audience right now who has no idea what they're watching. Yeah,
so essentially the liquidation heat maps plots where longs or shorts will be liquidated on leveraged exchanges. So this is an aggregate representation of where longs and shorts, basically where like long stops are and short stops are. So basically these bright yellow or green colors represent where shorts would get liquidated, and we basically saw a candle move above this level and pretty much triggered all the short stops. And now we're just pretty much moving back down below 70K. So I'm guessing a lot of people had their stops at 70K, because that's the kind of like an obvious level. So we broke through that, and now we're kind of falling back below to 69K. And then we can see there's a pocket of long liquidity at around 68. Let's call it 68,500. So I think the next thing that's going to happen, we're going to tap this level and just keep moving between like 70 and 68K over the next 24 hours.
Did you say we're going to go down to 68?
I think so. I think the market is going to test this pocket of liquidity at 68K. There's around 3 million of longs ready to get liquidated.
That means I'm going to get stopped out.
But
no, is that where your stop is?
I have a question to you. So how do you, because I'm diving into the heat map, I use the footprint charts and the volume-based analysis now. Regarding the heat map, how do you know that it's going to be liquidated? What do you mean when I say the liquidation heat map?
So basically, this tool, it plots where traders are going to be liquidated based on their leverage. So, for example, if you zoom in, if you go on CoinGlass or some other on-chain data tracker, it'll show you the liquidation leverage. So if you hover your mouse over this pocket, it shows 3.13 million will be liquidated, and the market just likes to like sweep these liquidity zones, from what I've noticed. So yeah, that's essentially what it represents.
Okay, so it's kind of like there is a tool that is called the margin zones. It's something that I rely on when trading futures in general. So it basically calculates based on the margin requirements and the leverage of traders, right? So when how far the price can go before they're going to get liquidated, and then essentially you count on the price going there to grab this liquidity before the reversal. Is this kind of it?
Yeah, I think it's very similar.
Yeah.
I just think in crypto it's more effective because you can aggregate this data from exchanges more easily because everything is on chain.
All right, let's okay, look at this. I got this name. Okay, that's the first name. Can you see it? Let's see if we can zoom in. You can't. Oh, okay, come on. Can you do this? What happens if I do this? Oh, that's the first name. Sayuan whatever 0. We're gonna put this in the bowl. And then we got Glenn. Got Glenn right here. Got Glenn. All right, we're gonna put this in the bowl as well. We're gonna shake it. Shake it. We tap it. Nice. Okay. Good. And I'm just gonna pick one. Okay. I'm just gonna pick one. I'm gonna close my eyes. And I'm gonna pick this one. Okay. All right, guys. First winner. 10K 2-step account is. I can't see which one it is. All right. Glenn. There we go. All right, man. Glenn, what I want you to do is I want you to take your Tradeify email, the one you use to sign up to the website, and then add that to your YouTube profile, and then you're going to get an email with, or we're just going to add the account to your page. So, and give it, I don't know, give it like 24 hours or so before you. So do not reach out to support until 24 hours from now, because you'll get that account. All right, beautiful. That's the first giveaway. We got some more coming up. I think when we talk about the liquidation heat map and the margin zone, I believe you called it, in the futures market, I think the main difference is that the crypto markets are completely decentralized, and it's all you can see everything that's happening on the blockchains. I think you're going to have more information about where people are putting their orders on the exchanges, if I'm not mistaken, right, Boris?
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, I think everything, well, not everything, but most, leveraged positions you can pretty much track on chain, and like using APIs, you can even use tools to connect to, let's say, Bybit and Binance, and basically track this data. And I think a lot of exchanges actually sell their data to some data providers. So bigger players can actually locate where bigger players' stops are located, or where they're going to get liquidated.
Yeah. All right, Anastasia, it looks like you're in a trade, or you're looking to take a trade. What are you looking at there? Let's switch over to your screen and take a look.
I'm looking for the buy, actually, which is good news for you.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the same page with you. The difference is that I'm looking for a little bit lower price to get in a trade, and I'm looking for a little bit different stop loss. So it's the same approximate ID, but it's a little bit different parameters. Now, I was looking for this already since quite a long time. So this was my analysis before the price got here. So the analysis was posted on the 8th of 9th of March, basically. I did this. And I was waiting for the price to get to the zone. And I had two levels from which I was expecting the price to drop. And I had 3 different targets. So from here, I was expecting 73,540, 71,720, and then this gray zone below. And then from here, obviously, I'm expecting the price to reverse, basically. So this is 4-hour time frame. The reason I'm looking for the reversal is because over this whole accumulation, because we're basically in the range right now for Bitcoin that doesn't go much further. This is the biggest zone of volume. So anywhere from basically the value area low, so which is the lower border of 70% of the total volume that is traded within the specified range. So this is value area low, and this is the point of control of it. So that's a maximum area of the volume, plus minus a couple of dollars, because that's where basically where the biggest volume has ended. So from here, I'm expecting the reversal, because as the price stepped into this big volume, it grabbed the liquidity that is left here, and I'm always trading from volume to volume. So we tested this big volume. We tested it from one side. There was an attempt of sellers to push the price lower. So we see that the price tested its volume from one side, broke below it, tested it from another side multiple times. Sellers stepped in again, tried pushing the price, and failed to even break below the previous lows, failed to break below the value area low, and after some consolidation, buyers stepped in back and pushed the price higher. At the current moment, we are above the monthly point of control, so that's a new month, right? So it just started, so the 6th of April, and we had holidays. So let me just change this one for the last month. The last month is where the price is right now. So this is where the rejection is coming from the monthly point of control. And the price tried breaking above it. At the current moment, it failed. The reason I'm looking still for a buy is because we are technically above the big volume area overall. So we tested this volume, we went upside. So swing, I'm looking for the price to return to the previous high, 71,720, 7,200. 72,000, sorry, then 73,500 and 76,400, 500 area. And if we look on the 30-minute time frame, because this is my overall bias, I always build my overall bias on the higher time frame first, and then I look for the entries within this bias on the smaller time frame, so on the 30-minute time frame, and then 5 minutes for confirmation if needed. So this is a 30-minute time frame, and what I see currently at the moment is that we had the consolidation here, right? We had the range over the beginning of the day. We had quite a big volume coming in here, and the price finally was able to break above it. So we are right now coming back to test this accumulation zone and the point of control of the week. So this is the current point of control. We are coming back to test it slightly lower. So I'm expecting the price to go to approximately 69,240, 69,250 area. And then when I see the reversal, I'm gonna get in a trade. And my stop loss will be below this previous range low. So I don't want the price to go below it, which is also below the value area low of the current day. Because I don't want the price to go below the main volume from the current trading day. Otherwise, it wouldn't validate my whole idea. And I would be expecting, if the price breaks through the lows, to essentially test perhaps something between 68,500, 68,000. So then I'm going to be looking for re-entry a little bit lower. So for the current moment, my idea is the following. So either we go up from here. Basically, that's would be my main idea in general. 1 second.
Yeah, I like that. So let me just ask you, the volume that we're seeing here, it kind of looks like anchored volume profile, right?
No, it's just a normal volume profile by the period of time that is selected. The moment, this is the daily one.
Right, but so it's pretty much anchored, like you're anchoring it at a specific time, right?
No, the anchored is the one that you anchor to the specific period of time, but it's once. It's not built automatically. So you basically choose the period of time on the specific range of the price that you want to measure, and you anchor it to this specific period of time. This is a normal TPO and volume profile that is built consecutively for the period of time that you choose automatically. So if I choose a daily, it's going to build it every single day after the overnight layover for the total market, just for crypto, basically every 24 hours. Which is anchored is built only once for the period of time that you select. That's the difference. And the normal volume profile is built automatically, repeatedly for the period of time that you select.
Right. Yeah, I understand exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So those are my two IDs, and my first target would be around 71,700, 71,800. So I want to see the reversal. I don't see the reversal yet. I would also like to see a volume coming in when the price starts to go back up. This would be amazing, because what we see here as well, and the reason I'm long in general is because we see the volume growing as the price continuing higher, then the volume dropping during consolidation, then once again big volume on the move up, drop of volume on the move down, which for me personally is the lack of interest and support for the downside movement. I want to see the confirmation from the volume and more money coming in, more trading happening when the price going up, and this is currently what I see. So if I see more volume stepping in when the price starts reversing and goes in higher, I'm going to enter the long trade here. So I'm similar bias as you, Jonathan, right now.
Okay, so you're not in the position right now. You're looking for that.
No, not yet. I want to see either the price test in a little lower levels, or if it doesn't go any lower here in this area and starts reversing, I want to see growing volume, because at the current moment we have no volume and we have no much delta confirmation or anything from active buyers. We also don't see delta is pretty dead, around 0, which means we have a balanced amount of aggressive buyers and sellers at the current moment. I want to see either the attempt of sellers, so negative delta and bullish candle, which would mean for me that the sellers are stepping in, they're trying to push the price lower and their effort is failing. So it's like effort is not directly transferred towards results. Or I want to see the bullish delta and bullish candle, which means that buyers are stepping in and kind of the activity of buyers is transferred to the results. You know what I mean? It's converted towards results.
Roman, if you can switch over to my screen, I want to show, because if I'm looking at this right now, what I do see is, if we're looking at the volume on, is this spot volume? I believe this is this is spot volume on Binance right now. So if we're looking at the 5-minute, what I like about this is the fact that we do have. So first of all, we kind of have a momentum is reversing nicely here. So we have a type of bullish divergence on RSI here. So we're looking at the 5 minute and we're hitting that level right now. What I like is we obviously have a big volume spike right here. Once we hit that that level, so we have a relatively small 5 minute candle, but quite a big volume spike when we hit that level. So this to me tells me that there is a lot of interest in from the buyers here. And if we look at the accumulation distribution indicator, we have a downtrend in price, right? And all throughout this downtrend, we started seeing an uptrend in that accumulation distribution indicator, which tells us that the closer price came to this level, the more buying pressure there were, and the more buyers started taking control. So what we have right now is, if I was not in this position right now, I would enter on the close of this 5 minute candle if it was above that level, because this tells me that, okay, we got a high volume coming in, we got a bullish divergence on RSI, and we got the accumulation distribution indicator breaking above, breaking out. So I like this. What was your entry? Like where was your possible entry on this one? What price was that?
Around 60, pretty much from right now, if I get the confirmation, to 69,180.
Right. So we have a comment in the chat saying, would be handy to trade directly from TradingView. I also think it would be handy to trade directly from TradingView. And I'm just going to leave it at that. We are working a lot of things in the back end at Tradeify Crypto, and we have huge things coming up for you guys. I can't share anything now, but definitely a lot of things that we're working on in the back end. Now, just remember that we have DXTrader right now, and we have TradingView integration in DXTrader. So whenever you get an account at Tradeify Crypto and you open up DXTrader, you'll have TradingView in there. Now, I know it's not the same as trading directly from your account in your TradingView platform, but it's the same tools and the same everything. And what I love about that is the fact that you can just put the long tool or short tool on the screen, and then just right click, press create limit order, and all you have to do is just select what risk of trade you want to take, risk of your account, and then enter the position. Now, looking at this trade right here, I think I like what I'm seeing. I would like to see some more buying pressure coming in here and kind of pushing price higher here before I think about securing this position. I do, however, think my take profit is a bit too high. Let's see, where is my TP on this one? Oh, my TP is just here. Oh, it's not too high at all. It's actually quite low. Should I just okay, what I'm just gonna do this, you know what I mean? Like I'm just gonna 7 or 8. Why not go for 9? You know, can we do a 10? Yeah, I don't know. What, 7? I like how I go from like, I think my TP is a little bit too high.
What's your TP in the levels right now? What's your price TP?
I don't know. As high as possible. You know,
fair enough.
High. Let's just say my TP on this trade is high.
So everyone is long right now based on the 5 minute. Is that correct?
Yeah, and the contrarian in me is like, yeah, okay, let's. Well, we're professionals, right? Let me ask you guys in the comment section, what would you do? Would you go long or short? Now, what if everyone just says long? You know.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna be opening a long right now as well.
Good. Maybe it's time for me to close this long then, because you're gonna open a long, and then we're gonna see boom. It's gonna go straight down, and then we'll have a great short to upload. We gotta think.
Yeah, just based on the. Just based on the 5 minute, even though I don't really trade the 5 minute, I would go long as well, because we do have high value node on the 5 minute according to my chart layout, and there's kind of like a nice order block between the upper 68s into the lower 69,000s. if I were trading the 5 minute, I would go long as well. So
yeah, so I'm not supposed to be trading the 5 minute, but sometimes you see a very good setup, and I think if we would be trading, if we were having the live stream within this range, I would probably look at shorting each of these rejections here, right? But if we only had the live stream during this time, I mean, it wouldn't be a trade for me, right? But now, sometimes it's just, you look at a screen and you see something that stands out and like, why shouldn't I be trading this when everything aligns? You know what I mean? So even though I'm a swing trader, and I can't believe I'm here, trying to justify trading lower time frames, even though I shouldn't, but it is what it is. I do think sometimes you see a trade setup, and I think sometimes it's important to kind of go outside your comfort zone, and while doing so, manage your risk, right? Because it's all of this is just a game of probabilities. It's just a numbers game, right? If you see something that you know has a slightly higher probability of working out well than not, then why not add a little risk on that idea, right? And according to everything I know in technical analysis, when you have a break and retest of a significant level with bullish engulfing on the RSI and bullish volume and volume confirmation, then that should, in theory, be a good long. Now, the only thing that kind of goes against this would be if it would be like a trade that really goes against the primary trend. But again, on Bitcoin, if we look at the daily, yes, we are in a overall downtrend. But as we looked at earlier, we have that. Look at the 4 hour here. Let's remove some drawings here. We still have that, that trend line break. Why can't I remove that one? Never mind. So we have that trend line break, and we have a reclaim of the middle of the range. And then on the lower time frames, we have a break and retest, right? And we can even see that we have, even on the 4 hour, we do have some nice volume picking up here. So volume is definitely, confirming this move. On even the 4 hour, we have, on the 1 hour though, it looks not great, but we'll see. See what happens here.
Yeah, the US market is just open. It's 9:30. And 9:30 a.m. in New York, and we actually had a big move in the Nasdaq. So I'm looking at it on my chart. So as soon as the bell rang in New York, we had a relatively big candle on the 1 minute, up 27.27% on the Nasdaq, and now we're kind of just like retesting this point of control on the volume profile. So I think activity is gonna pick up now. I wonder if that Bitcoin long is gonna hit 70K.
Yeah, we had
71 maybe.
We had the same thing happening, I believe, on Friday or Thursday. I mean, the markets were closed, I believe, on Friday. No, so I believe that was on Thursday. So on Thursday, the market opened the same way, and we had a massive spike to the upside there as well. So yeah, Nasdaq picking up momentum right here.
Nasdaq is really pumping now.
Yeah, it really is. And S&P 400 is moving
0.5%.
Yes, we got Nasdaq, we got US, we got S&P 400 moving nice as well. So we also have, what's interesting with, if we can switch over to my screen maybe, so if we look at let me remove just this. I did some analysis on S&P 500 this morning, and what I find interesting here is, so obviously, first of all, if we zoom out, this is kind of my view on the S&P 500, that we have a potential distribution range right here. And if this is distribution range, then we should have a bearish rejection at the 6.5k range lows for potential move down towards like 6k. But what we're seeing right now is a break out of this channel. So from February down to this low, we had a downwards trending channel. We have now broken above that channel. We have reclaimed the range low, and one level I'm looking at is the 6,600 level. If we can break above that one, I think there is a fairly high probability of at least coming up to test that 6,650, and that would definitely take all risk assets with it. So not definitely, obviously, but I think there's a high chance of that happening. So if you look at, we got the S&P 500, strong bullish momentum on the open. Same thing, like we talked about, same thing on NASDAQ. And NASDAQ is, but this is a bearish retest though. So this is a clear bearish retest of a range low. But the tech companies have taken a lot of hit after a big hit when Iran went out and had like a list of companies they're threatening, which is like 18 companies, and I think most of them were in the NASDAQ. So I think that's why NASDAQ showing relative weakness compared to the S&P 500. But if this can pick up, I mean, we know that obviously Bitcoin being a risk asset as well, we might see a pickup on this idea as well. But volatility around the open can reverse quite quickly as well. So we'll see what happens here. And it would be actually interesting to see as well if the correlation between NASDAQ and S&P 400 is quite obvious. So no, that's not the, which one is it? US 100. Let me get rid of that one. I mean, if we can just put the NASDAQ on here. Okay, let's just go with IG. So you can see that the correlation is very clear today. So we got NASDAQ in white here. And then we have Bitcoin in, let's make Bitcoin orange. I think the correlation here is quite obvious. So this is the CFD of NASDAQ, but obviously very high correlation. And if you go back to, when was that, on Thursday, should have been the second, which is that one right here, when we had that strong move, but the correlation is not as obvious on that one. So not at all. So sometimes they're very correlated. You can see the correlation is quite obvious here, but this one's interesting. You had, if you look at NASDAQ, it opened, this is the open on Thursday, strong move to the upside, but Bitcoin basically did nothing. So that's interesting. Obviously that correlation is not true all the time, but it would be interesting to see if and we're breaking down. Nice.
I don't think we are breaking down. If you can switch over to my screen still for a moment. So I don't think we necessarily are breaking down. It's just some volatility and a sweep on the market opening, which is possible, because what we see now is we don't really have much activity of buyers yet, but first of all, we had a lot of volume coming in on this week, as we can see. So we tested 69,200, which is the daily point of control here, and the current, well, weekly, right? Because the week is just starting. We tested this high volume node right here. On the test, there is more volume coming in right now, and they're trying to push the price higher. So as long as we are above this volume, that is on the end of the week for this bearish candle, I think we are good to go to the upside. As we know, Bitcoin is quite the volatile asset in general, right? A high risk asset, much higher risk and now higher volatility than S&P and Nasdaq as well. So it's normal to see this kind of weeks. But for me personally, as long as we close above this volume, the body of the candle closes above, I'm still going to be looking for long bias in general. This is also the dynamic level, which is basically the dynamic point of control, right? That is showing me how the volume is being developed over the period of time that I select for myself. So if the price has been testing this, if we're gonna come back above it, it's gonna be an extra confirmation for a long again. So for now, I don't see any reason to close my longs, for example, for Bitcoin. So I'm gonna keep holding this despite the market opening. Also, besides this, we did have holidays in general. So there is more volume coming in to be filled after holidays, after all the announcements, with all the Trump indecisions and manipulations. So I think it's normal that we're gonna have some sweeps to both sides before Bitcoin is gonna pick up the normal direction for the rest of the New York session as well. But it's testing exactly same volume once again, and we again creating the new week on the 5-minute candle opening. That's a new candle, so we have exactly the same pattern. So for me, as long as we are in this zone or above this zone overall, I'm still bullish bias for Bitcoin.
I have a question for you guys and the viewers. If you switch to my screen, what I like to do is, you can invert the chart on TradingView. So I'm looking at the daily time frame here, and I'm curious what your guys' opinion is if we invert the chart. So if you do it like this, would you like long or short this chart?
Yeah, I mean,
this is Bitcoin with an inverted.
And this is this.
What would you do?
I mean, this is the reason why I'm. Damn it, man! That's interesting. I mean,
like to me, this looks like we have a massive uptrend in Bitcoin, and we're consolidating, and then we're ready to have another leg higher, which means since this is inverted, we're gonna have another leg lower to like, I don't know, 50K.
Well, it depends.
So
this is the
normal chart. Yeah.
When I look at that, I'm thinking, okay, this is consolidation, and it's very difficult to predict where the break will be, right? But what I do see is that for me at least, the most obvious trade here would be looking for a break to the downside, because the levels below are just so obvious, right? It's just obvious for a retest of that level. But then again, and you can kind of see how you have the lower highs here on the chart. So there is weakness here within this range, and if we test the range lows here again, then I'm thinking, okay, putting some extra pressure on that level, and we might break to the downside, and then that would be a good short. And then of course, if we flip it to the normal time, like not inverted, then to me that just looks like once we have that move, I would like to
this is not inverted.
Yeah, exactly. So here I'm thinking a break to the upside, and I would like to go long, right? I'm not going to go long because the primary trend is down, but that breakout will at least put me in a position where I gives me a good reason to short, basically. Isn't it very difficult to get a sense of direction right now, considering that we're consolidating, right?
Yeah, well, first
very
of all,
difficult as a swing trader.
Yeah, go on. Chris.
Go ahead.
Can we switch to my screen, please? So this is essentially the inverted chart, but that's 4-hour time frame. And if we look for the 4-hour time frame, for example, this is inverted chart still. So, you know, continuing your bias. This is the top resistance, right, of the range. This is the bottom resistance of the range. This is a medium, approximately medium of the range. So for me, we tested the tops. We are going lower. So this is inverted chart, right? This is a normal chart, which means that for me, we are going higher. It depends also a lot, I think, on the perspective of the which you are looking at. Because if I'm looking for the intraday trade on the long, it doesn't necessarily mean that within the daily time frame, which usually predicts the move for a couple of next days, it's not gonna reverse in the next 2-3 days or something. What I'm looking for today, personally, for example, is I'm looking for the price to reach the high volumes, which is right here. So that's a majority of the volume from the previous months. That's where, so I'm following the ideas that we had the big volume here, the price tested one, created another one, we are going to the next big volume area, which is right here. So because the money, the volume is basically the money, and the price needs the money to move. So for me personally, if we are looking like this, we are going up. If we are looking like this, okay, it might look like a rejection, but if I see the volume from the current week, it's still above the price. So this is the current daily point of control. This is the current weekly, because the week just started, point of control. So for me personally, okay, that's a pullback and we are still going down, essentially taking also in the account that we did break the previous support right here. So we had volume, like a move, accumulation of volume, move, test of this accumulation of volume, support. The price broke the support, attempt to recover from the support, it failed, broke down, testing support as a resistance, and the move down. So for me, even if you invert the chart, but you look at it from the not the daily but intraday perspective, for me it's still the same exact bias. So I think it's very important to differentiate also from which perspective are you looking at that. You know, are we talking about the direction and the bias for the next week from the daily perspective, or are we looking for the bias for today, for example, maybe then tomorrow's London session? You know, so the next 12 hours.
Yeah,
but it's a good. I think it's still actually the great reminder for myself as well to invert the chart sometimes, because I used to do it to just get a different perspective and check my ID for the dumb proof ID. You know, like is it would I still go for the same bias or not? And I completely forgot about this. So thanks for reminding us. It's actually the great thing to do sometimes, just for checking with yourself as well.
Yeah, it's like a good psychological test as a trader.
Yeah, it really forces you to think and, you know, kind of switch it all. And I think it's a great because it's to me, when if I want to go long and then I invert it, if I want to go short as well, then it's a good sign that you're trading with the trend as well, and you're kind of trading with structure. Because if there's, you know, if you flip it and then it doesn't agree, then there's something wrong. Maybe you're biased in a way that you're not something that you're not seeing in the chart, right? So if you're trading on just technical analysis, then a long should be a short when inverted, right? And I think for this trade right here, I mean, to me it's obvious. This to me is a short, right? And if I flip it, then this to me would be a long. Now I want to see where, obviously I'm not going to have my TP up here. That would be insane, because my stop loss on this trade is not very wide. So I'm thinking before price hits this level, let's say I want to use that level as my TP, before price hits that level, it might fluctuate quite a lot and take me out before that happens. So, but I do feel like the most probable level for me to TP is just somewhere near the highs of the local move. And if we are going to get continuation to the upside throughout the next rest of the day, then I'm looking at probably this level above, and probably like front run that level a little bit. So perhaps up in this region, and that would give me 3R. So that's actually, I like that. What are you thinking, Anastasia, here for a take profit?
So my first take profit is at 7,800 approximately, because we do have sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly 800. That's right at that level that I just marked out. So I think that's great.
Yeah. So 7,800, 7,900, this area, because I'm just gonna hide everything. This is the previous, like one of the previous week's volume, like this last week of March, the big volume area from here, the previous highs as well. So we can see clear interest towards this level when the price comes back to this. This is also the previous monthly point of control. So that's the majority of the volume from March. So this is mainly my target. Now, if we do break through this, if I see that the price is showing the strengths, we maybe have some good headlines, for the risk asset, then I would continue to hold it. And I would maybe add to my position or close this here, take profit and re-enter my position depending on the situation, and then take another trade until 74K, which is the previous resistance once again. Now, this is my main target in any case. So I don't, this is the first level that I would like to be tested. And then actually, let me just extend it. I would probably take my profit from here. And then when the price breaks through the zone of volume, but also I want to see if we can renew this high. So if you renew this high, then great. Then I will wait for some kind of pullback, some sign of weakness, rejection. And then afterwards, buyers pick it up again and to re-enter the longs one more time. But the general idea would be to hold it until 7,800, 71K.
All right.
What's your target?
No, so I'm looking at 7. Let's see. So 7,572 is my TP.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of front running that whole area.
My entry is at here basically. So nine 27. So it's here, and basically a little more than 1 to 2 risk to reward for me on this one, if it goes well.
I'm just looking at the order flow. I don't know, have you guys used AgriTrade? It basically aggregates orders across all major exchanges. And we're kind of getting like a mixed. Actually, I think we're getting more buy orders than sell orders. So we're getting quite a few. I want to call them big orders. For me, big orders like 1 million and above. But it looks like the order flow is positive right now on the 5-second chart. Just pretty crazy chart to trade. So I don't know if you guys have ever used this tool, but it's pretty cool to look at.
Yeah, I've taken a look at it. It's pretty cool actually. And but yeah, 5 seconds is just, that makes me just nervous, anxious just looking at. But I definitely I see also that we have there's definitely a battle between buyers and sellers here at this level. It's not as clean and clear as I would have hoped for. But I mean, if we can just get a break and get a move above that 69.6, then I think we're all good for this one.
Yeah, I don't
So
I don't use the aggregated volume. It's something that I maybe need to look at. But in general, I do see that buyers are picking up because the delta is just showing more buying pressure. If I switch over, can we switch to one of your guys' screen, and I'm gonna change to my other platform?
So you said one. I like looking at aggregate trade. Like, oh, he's got a 1 million, 1 million buy on Binance right now, and we kind of from that we kind of see a push up on price. It's crazy the amount of money going through this market.
Back in the day, well, not back in the day, but like when Bitcoin was trading like at 100K to 120, these aggregate trade like 5-second charts would be a lot more active. Now it's kind of like slow. Like you see a big order like come in like maybe every minute, but I remember it used to be like multiple orders like per minute. Like so, I think the market's just like very slow right now for Bitcoin. I just don't think there's a lot of interest.
But I think that's also good indication of the indecision that we do see in the markets right now. And it's quite, I mean, if you're a long-term investor, you would probably be a little bit cautious right now as well, looking at the overall markets. I think the smart money, if you will, they're waiting for direction. They're waiting to understand how things might play out, because it's very uncertain with the whole situation in Iran and Strait of Hormuz and oil prices and inflation, and how all of that is going to be affected if the war stops tomorrow or if it's going to drag on for a month or two. And so it's very I think people are really, big money is kind of sitting on the sidelines here trying to understand what the next directional move would be, because I feel like also long term high time frame, if you're looking at the overall structure here, it kind of feels like if Bitcoin, if we're truly in a long term bear market here, and we're going to see a typical bear market for Bitcoin, then I mean we're probably somewhere around halfway till the bottom. So it would make sense for the big players and the whales to really wait and see what direction we're going for. Guys, we are. I've got one more winner of an account, and it's one user that's been with us all throughout this 2 hours, been active in the comments, and that is Edit Echo. So if you can add the email that you use to sign up to your account, or when you sign up for an account at Tradeify Crypto, the website, you use an email, right? And that email you should add to your YouTube profile, and then we're going to be sending you a 10K two-step evaluation account. So congratulations to Edit Echo.
Congratulations.
All right. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I wanted to quickly fill in on what we were saying before, that there is less orders in general, in the market. Like, I think it's normal after the big liquidations and several crashes that we've seen the last year as well. In general, there is, like Jonathan said, a big indecision overall geopolitically, from the monetary perspective as well, from the US side. And there a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines. So in general, at the current moment, we can see it on the Nasdaq and S&P 500 and crypto and high risk assets are in a risk off more than anything else at the current moment. So is the majority of money in any way comes not even from the smart money. The majority of the money in the market always comes from the retail traders, right? And the retail traders are not active because Bitcoin has been dropping. So people, how the majority of the people are, they're gonna be entering the market when it's gonna be rising. So once it starts rising again, there will be more hype, there will be more headlines, there will be more money coming in the market as well. I am personally, for the risk assets overall, expecting still a drop. I'm not talking about the drop necessarily in the next days, maybe not in the next weeks, but there is such thing as the yield curve inversion, which has been continuing for more than 2 years at the current moment. And there are several stages before every crisis that happens, and that is the longest curve inversion that has been continuing without the crisis as well. And since before the recession. So, there are several steps until the recession eventually may happen still. And we still need to see the monetary policy decision finally about the rates further on from the new chairman of the Federal Reserve being changed. Everyone is talking about the war in Iran, but it's not the only thing that is right now turning the markets off. It's also the Federal Reserve monetary policy and the fact that they are currently printing, my goodness, 40 billion per month to support the economy. People stop looking into this. And once the rates eventually going to be cutting, that's going to be the next step, one step closer towards the recession happening. There are many things that are turning the market off, as well as big players, but also the small players.
Ooh,
in the meantime, actually, Bitcoin is starting to shoot up.
That's a big.
Oh, wow. Yeah, big orders coming in right now on
AgriTrade. I saw on AgriTrade that was damn, that's a big candle right there.
Hopefully it's gonna continue this side.
I got a massive wick as well. You're gonna reverse as quickly as it came. All right.
It's a value area high, so basically we tested the border of the majority of the volume zone for the current day. For me, it's still bullish because we saw the test of this high volume node for the day. We saw more volume coming in. We tested it several times. We closed above the moving dynamic point of control for the day as well, above the weekly, because the week just started point of control. So there's majority of the volume below. Even this week for me is all right. We tested this volume spike coming down, but overall I'm still expecting the bullish momentum to pick up again. So I'm still bullish as far as we are above this gray zone that I marked up for myself. So I'm gonna keep holding this trade.
All right. Yeah. No, I'm gonna hold this as well. Might close it if we break down the current structure, but I'm going to be holding this one. All right, guys, we're coming up to the it's 4 p.m. here in Sweden now, and time to end the live stream for today. And I would like to thank you all for joining here today. This was the very first live stream at Tradeify Crypto. We did have some technical difficulties, but we managed to get that solved. Tomorrow we're going to be back, same time, same place, and we'll see if this trade that we have open here, how that one turned out, and see if we can find any other opportunities. I also tomorrow want to talk a little bit about the future projection of Bitcoin. Where do we think Bitcoin might go? Where do we think Bitcoin might be trading in the next 6 months or so? What are our projections for this high time frame trend that we are seeing right now? Okay, guys, thank you all for joining, and thank you, Anastasia, and thank you, Boris, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow.